بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. لله تبارك وتعالى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, we're going to spend, as we promised last night, a few minutes reviewing and reflecting on the topic we had last night on the Black Imams Roundtable, and ensuring that we fully understand the issues that relate to the most important topic and subject matter in Al-Islam, which is agreed upon by all Muslims. And since it's a reflection, I want to be as fair as possible. I think this is so important when we have these discussions, that we have two qualities. And to me, the first quality is necessary to facilitate the second quality. Whenever we have in these dialogues, we must keep these two qualities in mind. Number one, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, none of you truly believe. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. The Prophet ﷺ said, none of you truly believe until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. This is a foundational hadith in the religion. And that's why it's one of those hadith that are mentioned in Al-Arba'un al-Nawawiyya, the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. He mentions this hadith and he says these are the hadith in which the whole religion revolve around them. This is one of them. None of you truly believe, meaning you don't have kamalul iman. The faith is not complete until you love for your fellow Muslim, your brother and sister in Islam, what you love for yourself. This hadith is extremely important in this topic, in this dialogue. In other words, we're having this dialogue because we love each other. we're not having any other motive to why I'm telling you this in terms of personal, besides the fact that I love you. And if I didn't love you, and I didn't want good for you, because there is a narration of the hadith, حَتَّى يُحِبَّ مَا يُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِهِ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ, that you do not love, for he does not love for himself, he loves for his brother what he loves for himself, among the good things. That is this narration of min al-khair, that you want goodness for the person. If we didn't love each other, we wouldn't even have this conversation. In fact, I would want you to go to hell if I didn't love you. And likewise. So the basis of the conversation is based on love. And in the society, especially in the West, it's like, don't tell nobody you love them. That's like soft, like mushy, kind of, No, Muslims love each other. And because I love you, if I see you or you see me deviating, going away from the correct path, whether that's intentionally or unintentional, you're going to tell me. I would hope if you love me, you're not going to let me go in the wrong way. So love is an important quality in this discussion. The second is fairness. Be fair. It's very difficult when you want to win a discussion to remain fair. So if you love someone, that will help you be fair with them. So if you're doing me a favor and the book costs $2 and you love me, you wouldn't charge me $5, even though it's still cheap to me. I couldn't resist that. That's a private joke. Oh, see, that's fairness in love. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. It was just like low-hanging fruit. I had to take it. Okay. Back to a serious topic. So, fairness. What is fairness in this regard? Present the matter as the one you disagree with, or y'all have a conflict in understanding, as they really presented themselves, not the way you want it to be. It's not about being right for yourself. It's about us being right for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That's extremely important. We're trying to get to the truth, to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us with, and what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered us with, as he's conveying that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. No other motive. We want us all to be on the straight path. That's it. So now, with that being said, let's be fair. Let's be fair. And fairness will never occur when we're talking about the correct aqidah, the correct belief, until the information is presented to us, right? If you don't give me access, how can I adequately process this information? I don't have the information to process in the first place. That's not fair. And if you truly love me, you wouldn't do that to me, right? So let me tell you something you're going to discover. As you learn and as you get more information, you're going to discover, for whatever the reason is, people haven't been telling you the whole story. I don't want to go into trying to judge someone's intentions, no matter how I feel about it. I'm just talking about the reality. You haven't given me all the facts to make a fair assessment of right and wrong. I don't have all the information. I don't even have enough information to do it, let alone all of it, not even enough. Let me ask you a question. This is a dialogue too. All of us here listening, do you think we honestly have been given sufficient information about the subject of Aqidah and about the various approaches and methodologies and understandings towards Islamic tenets of faith to actually make a fair, honest assessment of the issue? Do we really believe that? Or we know for sure that there's a lot more we need before we can make a fair assessment? We can make an assessment. I didn't say we can't make an assessment. I'm saying, is that fair? Let's be honest. Maybe some of us think we have. And that one is like that. I want to have a discussion with you. So the one who says, yes, I have it, you're welcome to come on and we can have a real discussion. Because it'll be a much better discussion than me just talking, because you got fair information, you got all the stuff, so maybe you can share some stuff with me that I don't know. In other words, I'm not duck and wreck. You're welcome. We can have a discussion because we want to learn and we want to benefit. So most of us who are talking realize we haven't been given enough information. And I'm among them, so I accept. My case is the same. In fact, one of my brothers who is on his journey of trying to discover things, he's sharing with me his journey. And through his journey, because I try to be fair, I'm learning so many things I never knew from his journey. In fact, some of the information that he shared with me is the basis for this conversation. I would like him to present it, but that's not his thing. So, I'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. Got you, Ak. Right? So last night, we talked about the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So I want us, this is going to be interactive, y'all. So it's not just for me yapping. We're reviewing and we're talking. What is Ahl Sunnah? Who are Ahl Sunnah? Put it this way, before we say that, when we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? What does that mean? Let's make sure we all on the same page. Fast typers are welcome. So we say Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What does that mean? Could everyone put in what that means? What does Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah mean? So we know what we're talking about. I'm not going to do the Arabic thing and we don't know what we're talking about. I'll just say it in English if we can't understand. So that's a term that's used to describe a segment of Muslims. They say, we Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. What does that mean? No, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah does not mean Ash'ari and Maturidi, Brother Talib. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are Ash'aris and Maturidis, but that's not what Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah mean. Nor does it mean Ash'ari. It doesn't mean Ash'ari and Maturidi. What does it mean? The words Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I didn't ask you who are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. I asked you what does Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah mean? So you understand the question. So everyone put up what they understand. The word Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what does that mean? Y'all telling me who are Ahl Sunnah? I didn't ask that. I said, what does Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah mean? That was the question. I know it's early. So what does the term Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah mean? Good. So keep putting it up. One person has put it, two people have put it. Come on, the rest of y'all. It's Wednesday, you can have some coffee. You're not fasting normally, right? So you can have some coffee. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Couple more before I answer. You have the answers there. They're there. You just got to put it all together. Hey, Peter, didn't you learn Arabic? Aren't you in Arabic school? Didn't you graduate from Jami'atu Yasir Qadi? That's a joke. I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you. I like to have fun too. I think you noticed that by now, right? So Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ahl Sunnah, so you have Ahl Sunnah wa al Jama'ah. So Ahl Sunnah means the people of the Sunnah. So Sunnah means the prophetic way, the path and way of the Prophet. So they are the people who are of the way or the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ahl Sunnah. Wal Jama'ah, wa means and. Al Jama'ah means the group. And some put community, it's understood. What it means in that context are the vast majority of the Muslim nation. Al Jama'ah means the vast majority of the Muslim nation. So it's the group who happen to be the vast majority of the Muslim nation. So it contains all that meaning. They are those people who follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they are the vast majority of the Muslim nation. That's what we mean by Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And when we say Ahl Sunnah, in a short way, we say Sunni Muslims. So when we say Ahl Sunnah, a short way, that's what we are saying. When we say we Sunni Muslims, that's what we're referring to, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Is this clear for everyone? And this is basic stuff. It's not advanced. It's just nobody took time to explain, right? Clear, right? So please write all that down. So this is the meaning of Ahl Sunnah, right? The people who follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the group, meaning the vast majority of the Muslim nation. That's what's understood from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And that means Sunni Muslims. That's just a short way to say who's Ahl Sunnah? They're the Sunnis. So now, when you say we Sunni, that's what we mean, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Now, we mentioned in our time, right? We live in our era. When the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is used, predominantly it refers to whom? Who uses that term to describe themselves? We mentioned 4 different factions, 4 groups. Who are those 4 groups? Whenever we hear the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, the ones who are using that term are basically 4 groups in our time. Who are they? That's from last night. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I hate having conversations and somebody don't know what I'm talking about. That's how we get confused. So let's review. We here every day anyway. Why not review? Let's review. Let's kick it, as they say. Good. Dr. Zachariah's on it. So today, in our time, whenever you hear the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, it's being used by the Ash'aris, the Maturidis, the Hanbalis, / Atharis, / Ahlul Hadith, and Al-Wahhabiyya, who / Salafiyya. Okay. Who are the Ash'aris? Why are they called Ash'ari? Why are the Ash'aris called Ash'ari? So I'm going to move for spelling, right? Ash'ariyya. Why are the Ash'ariyya? Who are they? Why are they called Ash'ari? Why are they called Ash'aris? Close. You got to correct the name though, Dr. Zachariah. Why are they called Ash'aris? Ash'ariyya. Why? So who is Imam Ash'ari? What's his name? Dr. Zachariah is close. Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari. Right. They're called Ash'ariyya because they follow the approach and the methodology that was codified by a great Imam among the Sunni Muslims by the name of Imam Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari, who died in the year 324. Good. So Abul Hassan, not Hassan, Abul Hassan. Abul Hassan. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. Right? That's good. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. Good. Why are the Maturidiyya called Maturidis? Why are they called Maturidis? Why are the Maturidiyya called Maturidiyya? We're being fair. We want to make sure we got it all. And some of you who've been hearing this for 5 years, come on, it should be flowing by now. Because they follow the methodology that was codified by a great Imam named Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, who died in the year 333. So because they follow his methodology and what he codified in terms of the systems of tenets of faith, they became known as his followers. So Imam Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, those who follow his methodology are called al-Maturidiyya. Right? So we got that third group. Second group. Third group, Hanabila. Why are they called al-Hanabila? Why is this third group called al-Hanabila? Why? Right. Because they follow the methodology that was laid down and followed by the great Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who died in the year 241 after Hijrah. So they follow his methods. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, hence Hanabila, right? Hanbaliya, they follow that. They're also called al-Athariya. Why are they called al-Athariya? So Hanabila, that means they follow the methodology of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, radiyallahu ta'ala. So why Athariya? So they have this term, we said Hanbali, Hanabila, or Athariya. Why are they called Athariya? So why they have this term, Athariya? The Hanabila, known as Athariya. Why? That's right, Malika. Tell him, I don't know. Bonus points. So that means we're using terms and we don't know why we're using them. That's not fair, right? So we got to be fair. Why they're called Athariya? I'm Athariyak. Okay, why? Why you call yourself Athari? We should know. Come on, someone use the term. No, Brother Talib, that's not it. Imam Ahmad don't have a hadith that he made up. No, that's not it. Why are they called Athariya? The same reason they're called Ahlul Hadith is the same reason. So why are they called Ahlul Hadith? So Athariya slash Ahlul Hadith. Why are they called that? So it's the same thing. Same reason. Why? Shu Muawiyah, Shaykh al-Islam. Why are you not answering? Where's that other guy? The guy that was the subject of jokes and then disappeared. Where are you at? Why not answer? Help us out. Be fair. Come on. This is your chance to get a reward. Make a good intention and teach somebody something. Okay, Peter. Why are the Hanabila also known as Athariya or Ahlul Hadith? Why they call them Athariya or Ahlul Hadith? Why do you get that name from? Okay, good. So Malika, Shakir, and Muti are on point. Good. This is good. I like this. They are called Ahlul Hadith, people of Hadith, or Al-Athariya, and use those narrations, athar, that's our reports, in understanding the attributes of Allah. That's why they call them Athariya. In other words, their methodology, according to them, is based on the Hadith and Athar, right? The Hadith and Athar, those narrations and reports, and the Hadith, that's the basis of their understanding, right? That's why they're called Athariya. Because they say we only follow the reports, that's it. That's why they're called Athariya, right? And that's a methodology for them. Okay. All right, we got it. So everyone got that? The Ash'aris are called Ash'aris because they follow the methodology of the great Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. The Maturidis are Maturidiyya. They are Maturidis because they follow the methodology of the great Imam Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. The Hanabila are called Hanabila because they follow the methodology of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. They also called Athariya because they say they follow the narrations and reports that have been transmitted from the Prophet ﷺ, and Ahlul Hadith, meaning the people of Hadith, the same meaning. That's why they're called that. Everyone got that? Excuse me. So let's go back. Al-Wahhabiyya slash As-Salafiyya. Right? Why are they called that? Now we accepted everyone else. Now I want to be fair. We accepted for everyone else a name and we didn't get offended. When we said Ash'ariyya, Maturidiyya, Hanabila, Athariya, Ahlul Hadith, nobody got angry. Nobody got triggered. Now when we say Al-Wahhabiyya and As-Salafiyya, don't get triggered. Do the same fairness that you did when you was applying it to others. Why do people say Al-Wahhabiyya or why do they say As-Salafiyya? What? Why Al-Wahhabiyya? Why? They follow Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, who died in the year 1206 after Hijrah. Pay attention to time. Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari died 324 after Hijrah. That's for the Ash'aris. Imam Abu Mansur al-Maturidi died 333 after Hijrah. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal died 241 after Hijrah. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he died 1206 after Hijrah. That's why they called Wahhabis, based following his methodology. Why they say the name Salafiyya? Why they use the name as Salafiyya? For what? Why don't they say, we're not Wahhabiyya? And they say that, we're not Wahhabis. Our enemies call us Wahhabis. I'm not your enemy. I'm just identifying who you follow. Now, you don't like the name, okay, I got that part. But just like for everyone else, we call them, and that's sound in Arabic language, when you want to identify people, you identify them to the one they attributed to. Al-Wahhabiyya was known as Al-Wahhabiyya because of their attribution, their following of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's why the Ash'aris are called Ash'aris, because they follow Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari. That's why the Maturidi are called Maturidiyya, because they follow Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. That's why the Hanabila are called Hanabila, because they follow Ahmad ibn Hanbal, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Right? So why are they called Salafiyya? So they call themselves Salafiyya because they claim that their methodology is the methodology of as-Salaf, which is the early Muslim generations, particularly the first three, the companions, their followers, and the followers of the followers. So the methodology that they claim they follow is the methodology of the Salaf. So they say. So they say that's why we Salafiyya. We're not Wahhabiyya. That's a bad name. People who are the people of innovation call us that. Okay, let's take it away. At least we know why you're called that. They're not just name calling. They call you that for a reason. So you say, my real name is Salafiyya. Okay, whatever. Let's just talk about the methodology, right? Whatever you want to call yourself, fine. No problem. We're not going to argue about that. We really want to get to the point. We just want to identify what we're talking about. So we got all these names, right? We got these groups, and we know why they're called that. Is this clear for everyone? Were we fair? We just identified why people are called what they're called. And those four groups in our time all say they're Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Is this clear? All right. Now, last night, since we got all these, so we have just to put it, I'm sorry, I'm the slowest typer in the world. Message to the young people. Pay attention in school and learn how to type. So you don't waste people's time because you're slow typer. Right? So now we know who we're talking about. So these four basic groups, and we defined what they call themselves sometimes, different nicknames that we could say, right? For our purpose, different names they call themselves. But we know who we're talking about, right? Right? So whenever in our time we hear the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we know that depending on who's using it, is going to refer to one of those four groups of people in our time. When they use it, at this point, we're trying to understand. Listen, I want to say this. We have to get some guts as a people. Seriously. We have to get some guts. Please type in the box, we are free people. That's period. We are free people, period. We are not slaves. Put that there. Please, I'm going to help. We are a free people, period. We are not slaves. Some of us don't realize that. So put that up. Can everyone copy that? We are a free people. We are not slaves. Can we all copy and paste that? That's for the guys in the back who want to control our speech. Listen, we free people. We ain't slaves. Don't try to tell me how to talk. I don't need you to tell me how to talk. Right? I just need you to understand what I'm saying. I don't want you to tell me how to say it. If I don't know how to talk by now, and I got a bigger problem than what you trying to give me. If we reach the age we reach and we still don't know how to express ourselves, we have a problem. A big problem. So we can be us and we can communicate. We're not slaves. So don't let nobody tell you how to talk. Make sure you understand and then talk as you talk. Seriously, I mean that. Stop being punks. Seriously. And I mean that because people bully us sometimes, and that keeps us controlled. Say what you got to say, as long as you know what you're talking about. And say it with your chest. Because we're not alone. And I say we're not alone. People listening. And we need to start telling them we are free people. And we going to say what we have to say. And you no longer controlling the narrative. We ain't letting you do that no more. We're going to dialogue. Whether you like it or not. And we need to do that as a people, seriously. Real, I mean it. So, we're not talking at this stage. At the stage we're talking right now, we're just trying to understand what's going on. Our discussion at this moment is not about who's right and who's wrong. We're only trying to identify terms and understand what we're talking about. Our biggest problem, I believe, in this regard, is we don't understand what we're talking about. So therefore, when we hear terms, we're confused because we don't understand. And because it works for the one who's trying to control us, they don't even tell us that you don't understand, and they're watching it. You don't understand. The thing that burns me up about us a lot, it's a trigger for me, but I'm not going to get triggered, right? We be sitting in Jumu'ah, don't understand a word the Imam is talking about because he's using a bunch of terms that we don't know, and we would never ask him, yo, I didn't understand what you was talking about. Could you please translate all that stuff you just said? A friend of mine, since we were kids, he came to Jumu'ah, so I'm giving the khutbah. He comes in my office after Jumu'ah. He said, Amin, man, I need to talk to you. I said, what's up? He said, I need to be honest with you. He's my friend. We've been friends since we was kids, right? He said, man, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. I said, what you mean? He said, just what I said. I have no idea what you're talking about. After Jumu'ah. I said, what do you mean? He said, man, all that Arabic you talking and switching, man, I'm lost. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, nothing. He said, nothing. I don't know. I have no idea what you was talking about. And he's very smart. The Arabic was confusing him. It was broken up between speaking Arabic and English and Arabic and English, and he was lost. Because he was like a new Muslim in terms of practice and learning. He had no idea what I was talking about. And in fact, I owe him a phone call because I got to explain everything I be talking about, because still to this day, because we use so much Arabic and he's not familiar with the terminology, he's get lost, doesn't know what I'm talking about. And that's not my intention. I want him to know what I'm talking about. So that's why I'm going over these terms. Because we be talking about I'm Ahl Sunnah and we don't even know what Ahl Sunnah is. We're talking about Wahhabi, you don't even know what a Wahhabi is. You're talking about Ash'ari, you don't even know what Ash'ari is, right? We have to understand. So take the time to understand, right? So we're not talking about right and wrong. So somebody says, man, he said the Wahhabis are Ahl Sunnah. I didn't say that. That's your narrow mind. I never said that. I said they call themselves Ahl Sunnah, and they do. I ain't talking about whether it's right or wrong. They call themselves Ahl Sunnah, whether you like it or not. That's what they call themselves. They write books, they publish it, they build masjids, they build schools, and they put Ahl Sunnah right on the top of it. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Markaz Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Musalla Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's what they put, whether you like it or not. They put it there. So, but if a person don't know that, when he go in there and he thinks Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, when he get in there, he's for a rude awakening when he get inside. Because he's going to go in there thinking Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are only people, when you hear Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that's the Ash'aris and Maturidis. And then when he get inside there, he's going to know that they're going to call him a grave worshiper and a mushrik and a person of bid'ah and denier of Allah's attributes. And you're not Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If you don't tell them, won't know. Y'all saw that movie? I don't know the name of the movie. Hey, what's that movie? You remember the black guy was dressing up as a Klansman? Black Klansman? And he went into the Klans meeting and but he had on the stuff.
Oh no, you talking about the skit from it's a movie or a skit?
It may be. It was a movie about it, but I guess maybe one was a skit too. Was that Dave Chappelle or somebody? All right. Anyway, you know, they dress up in the stuff like he's down. They don't realize he's black. So he go into the Klan meeting. In the Klan meeting, talking all that stuff, and they take off his mask and figure out he's black. Yeah, it's something like that. Right? So you go in there, yeah, we Ahl Sunnah. And they don't realize you didn't realize they were Wahhabi. And when they found out you Ash'ari, it's a problem. Right? So we need to know the terms. That's my point. So if we know the terms, we know, right, what we're dealing with. We won't gonna be deceived. When I see Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, I realize that these groups use the term Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Now I have to identify who's talking here, who's saying that Ahl Sunnah, and who is the one talking here. I can identify them. Y'all follow my point? Is everyone following me? You get what I'm saying? Okay. So with that being said, so we mentioned these four groups, these four factions who call themselves Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Some of the claim could be correct and is correct, and some claims are false, right? We're going to talk about that part, but we want to identify first, right? Right. So I was talking to someone last night, right? And he was talking about grave worshiping. And I realized that he had Wahhabi ideas and he didn't realize it. He thought he was Maturidi, and he is Maturidi in general, but he'd been infiltrated with Wahhabi ideas because he didn't learn what the Maturidis really believe. And I didn't realize that until we were talking. And I explained to him, I said, man, that's Wahhabi stuff. It has nothing to do with the Aqidah of the Maturidiyya. That's the Aqidah of the Wahhabiyya that's infiltrated your country. And after the round table, we had like an hour talk about it, almost, because they were listening in the masjid, and they didn't realize it, right? So we mentioned those four groups. Last night, we mentioned three approaches that exist between these groups in relation to the attributes of Allah. We're only talking about the attributes of Allah, right? The attributes of Allah, right? And we said that Al-Ash'ariyya and Maturidiyya share an approach, a methodology when it comes to the attributes of Allah. Can y'all tell me what that approach was? It's from last night, so we're just reflecting and reviewing. We mentioned the Ash'aris and the Maturidis have a similar approach, and they have two of them. What are they? So that's why when they say Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, they are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, because they're talking about their approach. What are those two approaches? We're engaging. Come on, y'all. All right, there you go with the Arabic. Malika, nobody speaks Arabic, not enough of us. So you got to explain what that means. So what's the approach that the Al-Ash'ira wal Maturidiyya share when it comes to the attributes of Allah? So our discussion is the attributes of Allah, because that was what we was talking about last night, right? All right, that's what we was talking about. All right. Zachariah said to recite the attribute as they came in the Quran and the Hadith, leaving the intended meaning to Allah Ta'ala, not giving them a how, negating resemblance. Beautiful. MashaAllah, she's on fire. Number two, giving a figurative interpretation of the attributes befitting to Allah Ta'ala, not giving them a how and negating. Great. Beautiful, Zachariah. Great job. Great job. Great job. May Allah reward you. You make it all worth the time. Alhamdulillah. Like, you got it. MashaAllah, you understand. Alhamdulillah. Okay. That's good. So she got the point. So you can recite the attributes as they came in them and giving them a figurative interpretation. So that's correct, right? That's the foundational methodology of the Ash'aris and Maturidis. Great. Al-Hanabila, what is that foundational approach for them? Al-Athariyya. We mentioned it. So it's something we mentioned. So if you were writing notes, I said have a pen and paper, you should be able to just go. Don't be too haughty or lazy to have a pen and paper. It will help you. If you write it down, you won't forget. All right, let me read this. Hanabila, Athariya have two approaches as well: to recite the attributes of the Quran and Hadith, leave the meaning to Allah, deny howness and any resemblance to creation. That's the Muhaddithun approach. MashaAllah. Mutakallimun approach of the Hanabila go into more depth and detail, state that the meaning of the attribute can be found in the Quran and Sunnah, negate a how, and declare Allah free of any resemblance to the creation. That's good. So you need to fix the second approach, is that they recite the Quran, the Hadith. They go a little bit more beyond and using rational proofs and explaining those befitting meanings, right, that are mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. They negate howness and they negate that Allah resembles the creation. You need to add that to understand, right? Because their approach differs from the Ash'aris. In the first approach, it is similar to the Ash'aris, but it has some differences, and I'm going to explain them. The second approach is also similar to the Ash'aris with a little bit differences. So the Hanbali Athari approach and the Ash'ari Maturidi approach is very similar with some real nuance to it. And I want to talk about that nuance. I'm going to talk about that today because I usually go to 7 o'clock. So what time is it? Wow. Time flies. No, I usually go to 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of time. That's why I started early, because we're reviewing. So for every hour we teach, we should spend at least equal to that in review. So we were 3 hours. So if we do an hour and a half of review, I think that's good. Just without going over. We really should be doing like 3-4 hours of review. But let's say an hour and a half, we good. Now, so the Ash'ari Maturidi approach, we understand. The Hanbali Athari Al-Hadith approach, we understand. We understand that it's kind of nuanced between those two approaches. They are very similar, but they have some nuance, and I'm going to talk about it, right? And you need to understand this because it's going to get complicated here. And if you don't understand what I'm going to tell you, it's going to be real complicated because there's a lot of trickery going on amongst us, especially in the Black community. We got to be careful. We always get the rubbish of the world in our communities. Let me put that again. In the Black community, we always get the rubbish of the rest of the world. And we got to sort through it. They give us their junk and their trash and they dump it right in our communities. Y'all do realize that, right? They do that in the world, in the dunya, and in religion. They drop all their junk right in the Black community. The corrections for Zakaria with the Hanabila was the two approaches: to recite the attributes in the Quran and leave the meaning to Allah, deny howness and resemblance to any of the creation, full stop, right? That's the Muhaddithun approach among the Hanabila. So the scholars of Hadith, their approach among the Hanabila was that. They also have an approach from the Mutakallimun among them, the theologians among them, which is the same approach, but they go in a little bit more detail when it comes to the attributes of Allah and using rational evidences and figurative interpretation, not to the extent of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, which is the nuance, but they do it. And they still deny the how, and they deny that Allah resembles the creation. So that's the difference that needed to be corrected there. No, seriously. And we got to clean it up so we can see what's happening. They got so much rubbish on us, we can't even see. We got to remove that stuff. And part of removing it is we got to have enough courage to talk and to say, yo, man, stop throwing your rubbish in my yard. Keep that stuff in your own yard. I don't need that. I'm trying to keep my yard clean. Get that crap out of here. You know, in the university, y'all know what I mean by university, right? By now, y'all know when I say university. Do you know in the university, African Americans, whether it's in the male universities or female universities, in the Muslim community, we don't allow that stuff. I don't know why we out in America in the streets, how we allow that stuff. In the university, ain't nobody coming dumping their stuff in our yard, and we know it. And we know it? Nah, you can't do that. We maintain our manhood and our womanhood in the university. We get out here and we just surrender. I don't get it. I don't know. I haven't been in the university in a long time. Maybe it changed. I don't know. But in my time, that was an absolute no-no. Black people were powerful. Black Muslims were like in charge, leading, and and making the decisions. Right? We need to return to that. Not against no one, but so you don't put your stuff in my yard. Right? You don't throw your rubbish on my head. Okay. Third approach. So that's two. Third one, Al-Wahhabiyya / As-Salafiyya. What is their approach? I'm also taking your comments that seem to be questions, and I'm storing them. At the end, I'm going to bring them back. Okay, the Wahhabiyya / As-Salafiyya, what's their approach? The last one. So there's 4 groups, basically 3 approaches, right? What about the Wahhabiyya? Okay, since Ukhti Zakaria is saying I'm the sheikh of the 3453 women, there's a new sheriff in town and her name is Ukhti Zakaria. The Wahhabiyya, put another H, Wahhabiyah, right? Just to be more closer to the proper transliteration. Their approach to recite the attributes in the Quran and Hadith, give them the literal meanings according to language, affirm a how that Allah knows, and they say Allah does not resemble the creation, correct? So they recite the attributes, the same attributes, they don't change it, that's mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith. However, they give them literal meanings that's known in the language, right? And they say those literal meanings have a how that Allah knows. They don't claim to know the how. They say there is a how and Allah knows. And they say, but Allah does not resemble His creation. Does everyone understand that? That's what they say. Let me see what Kashia put. Oh, she just copied. Okay, good. That's wrong. The Wahhabi do not give a description. That's not true. I said we got to be fair. The Wahhabis do not give a description. It's not true. That's false. And if you see someone giving a description, they're not learning. That's not a Wahhabi. They don't give a description. Their doctrine negates description. It says that there is a how, but we don't know it. Only Allah knows it. So there's the negation of description. They're not going to say we describe Allah. No, that's not true. They don't say that. And we shouldn't say that. If they say that, you meet someone who says that, they haven't learned properly. They don't understand what the Wahhabis are really saying. We're not talking about right or wrong. We're just saying what they say. Right? We're going to get to the right and wrong part. We just need to understand first. Right? So we don't say that they give descriptions. They don't. That's false. And sometimes we do an injustice when we're not fair and we ascribe people with stuff they don't believe. And that makes it more difficult. Okay, let me fix that. These are very important clarifications. They negate the how when it relates to human beings. They're knowing the how. They affirm the how, that Allah knows the how. So they don't negate the how. The Wahhabis affirm, the Salafis affirm a how, but they say the how is only known to Allah. And they negate description. So there's two different things. They affirm the how that Allah knows. They negate any description of that how. Now you understand? They don't say that there's a how and they describe it that we know. No, they say there's a how because it's literal, but only Allah knows that how, and we stop there. We don't try to describe it. That's what they say. Do y'all follow? It is tricky when you don't understand. When you understand, it's clear. Now you just got to deal with truth or falsehood. It's only tricky when you don't understand. And most of us don't understand what they're saying. That's why we think it's semantics. It's not semantics. It's the same. It's explicit difference. It's not semantics. We don't even believe the same thing, period. Not in this issue. We may believe some other things, but this issue, we don't believe the same at all. Right. It's subtle. All right, y'all got it? Now, from what we discussed, and Zakaria, you're doing great. Does everyone follow this? Who can follow? And you got the video. You can go over it and over and over and over it. We're not hiding. And we welcome corrections. If someone want to come correct, ahlan wa sahlan, come correct. If you believe we're wrong, come correct. Right now, we're just stating what we understand. If you believe it's wrong, ahlan wa sahlan, let's talk about it. No problem. We ain't running. Right? Maybe you will share something we don't understand and we benefit. Highly doubt it in this issue, but maybe you got some stuff you done made up that y'all been hiding from us and we don't know yet. Right? Okay. Everyone follows, right? Everyone follows, right? We all clear? I'm going to stop here to make sure we understand. If you don't understand any of the things we talked about, here's time to ask your questions. It should be no excuse after this that you don't understand. There should be no excuse because you have the opportunity to ask. You have the opportunity to clarify. We have the time. We discussed it. We went over it. There is no reason why you should not pass this level of the lesson. You should understand this stuff well. You should be able to articulate it. You may have to review. You may have to go over it. You may have to. We try to make it as plain and simple in English, right? Stop going deep. Boshawn, we'll get there. Understand what we're talking about. Stop branching. Stop letting your mind go all over the place. We're going to get there. Please understand well what we just covered. Don't start trying to apply it yet. I just need us to understand, please. Y'all follow me? When you start branching, that's how you're going to forget. Just understand what we talked about. It's all going to connect. Don't worry about it. We said it's going to take us a minimum of 6 weeks. Focus. All I want is to understand that what's Ahl Sunnah, we understood that, what it means, what it refers to. Who used the term Ahl Sunnah in our time among the groups? Why are they called these names? And what are their various approaches and methodologies when it comes to the attributes of Allah? That's all we're trying to understand right now. Nothing more, nothing less. Is that clear? That's it. That's where we stop. Somebody else want to push us further, we ain't going there until we understand this. Once we understand this, the next step is going to be much easier. If you don't understand this, the next step going to be more confusing. It's very important, step by step. Okay. Okay. We got it. Now, let me hit the questions. Everybody understands? Nail, you want to come in and talk with me, black man? Since you always talking, I want to make sure you understand. I want you to explain. Can I bring you on live to share with me? Right next to me. You said let the youth in. You want to come with me? Come on. Let the youth right next to me. You can right on the screen. You don't even have to put the picture. Just put your lovely voice. You know I love you, right? This is an opportunity for you to publicly teach. This is a bad time. I know it's always a bad time. I'm messing with you. Right? I love Nadia. That's my buddy. Right? Okay. Nadia, go over this video when you finish and write it down so you understand. Put your questions, put everything, and we're going to have a talk about this, me and you. I'm going to start giving the young brothers a shot. Me, you, and Muawiyah. We're going to bring Muawiyah out the woodwork. Right? And we're going to have a real conversation. Right? In a nice way, because the young people need to be involved. They're the next generation. You know, y'all gotta be involved. While we're alive, let's dialogue. While we're alive. Okay, anyway. So let me get to the, if you have questions, just put it up. I'm gonna take them one by one. All right, the oversimplification, but not them over there, because they practice bid'ah even though they follow one. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yusuf, if you would like, I can let you, some of you may want to talk, right? I'm going to share the link because sometimes I don't understand what y'all talking about, honestly. You type and I don't know what you're talking about. So if you need, I just asked this, there's the link. So if you want to verbally express what you're saying, you're welcome. All I ask that we be respectful. Don't be long-winded when there's no purpose. State your point. And have a sincere thing to understand in dialogue, not to argue and debate. We're not arguing and debating. We're just trying to understand each other. That's all I want to talk about. As long as we understand, if there's corrections, let's do that. But we ain't trying to argue. Nobody want to debate. We want to learn, right? So there's the link for anyone who just want to verbally say what they have to say. You don't have to put on, let's not put on the camera. So don't even put on your camera. You could just speak. Because all we is trying to understand. We don't need to see you, right? So, Yusuf, you should ask your question because I really don't understand what you're saying. I see your statements, but I don't know what you're talking about. You need to help me. So that's one question for you. And the other one is, can't just tell them that, have to teach why. We have to be solid enough to teach them and us. They believe because someone taught them it. I got that. So please just, I think I understand what you're talking about, but it's not coming clear. So if you want to just say what you have to say or write it over, inshallah, we'll pick it up. Because I'm really not following you. But I'll leave your questions in case you want to do that. All right, Malika. What do the WDM community identify with? Of course, Ahl Sunnah. They don't have their own methodology. They have various approaches among them. And when you talk about their approach, some of them are Ash'ari and Maturidi. Some of them have been influenced by Wahhabi Salafi ideas. So the Wafdi Muhammad community, depending who you're talking to, some of them studied in Syria. So they're Ash'ari. They studied. Imam Wafdi Muhammad send a group of students, males and females, to study in Syria. Those students, they have the creed of the Ash'aris that they learned in Syria. So they're Ash'ari. Even though they're followers of Imam Wafdi Muhammad as a community, their creed is Ash'ari. Their fiqh is Shafi'i. And they are Sufis. They may not express that out like straight out, but when we talk about methodology, what they teach, the books they learn, their teachers, it's Sunni, Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ash'ari, Maturidi. That's what they learn. And some of them are imams. Those who didn't take that route, but followed the worship methodology of Imam Wafdi Muhammad may have been influenced by Wahhabi and Salafi ideas and don't realize it. Do y'all got the point? That's just facts. So in that community, you're going to have these different issues. That's a fact. You understand? So you cannot say one way or the other. It depends who you're talking to, right? If you're talking to those young imams and those young women who went overseas in Syria under Wafdi Muhammad, they're Ash'ari. Their belief is Ash'ari. In the creed we're talking about, they're Ash'ari. Following Wafdi Muhammad has nothing to do with Aqidah. That's following black leadership, improvement of our people and all that. That has nothing to do with Aqidah. They are Ash'ari. The ones he said, they Ash'ari. Now, the ones who didn't do that, they're left in America like the rest of us, and we reading books and we're going to get influenced. That's, so if you understand, that's a fact. But once you talk to them and you understand, you'll be able to identify that yourself. That's why I gave you the methodology. All you have to do is talk to people. Once you talk to people, you'll understand. So now you understand it's the same question. So they're not exempt. It depends who you're talking to. Malika, is this clear to you? You understand? Oh, Muiz, you had a statement, got lost. Moyes, you made a statement about the Hanbali Authority. It's up there somewhere. Can you put it back? I lost it. Okay. Isn't what being taught in the university part of the problem? Is Ahl Sunnah in the university? Of course. So it depends. Like I said, it depends where you at. If you were in certain places and the people there were Ahl Sunnati, meaning Ash'ari, right? Or Maturidi, then that's what you learned. If you had a place where the people were Wahhabi and Salafi, then that's what you learned. So it depends where you were at in the university, right? So if you were in the university where we were at, we were all Ash'ari. So that's what you would have learned, right? But if you're in another university where Wahhabi ideas are being taught, then that's what you want to learn, right? So it depends. So it's not the problem in and of itself. In fact, many of the brothers that been in the university that were with us, they're Ash'ari because they learned it in the university, right? So it depends. Right? So it depends. There is details to these things, right? Right? I'll give you an example. When I first went to the university, everywhere I went, Wahhabi ideas were there. By the time I left, they were Sunni. They were Ash'ari. When I went, the what was taught was Wahhabiyah. By the time I left, they were all Ash'aris. Every place I went. In the state system, as well as the federal system. Everywhere I went, that was, so it depends where you at, right? So if you were in any of those places, you would have ultimately learned Ash'ari. Even though originally, because we sacrificed, we took a beat down to spread. And I mean that, like, we went through a lot to do that, right? We suffered. It wasn't easy, right? But alhamdulillah. So it depends. Okay, so I can take that out. Now I got Brother Yusuf. So we were not talking about the four schools. We're talking about Aqidah. So I don't know if you're talking about fiqh. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, what we're doing is making it clear because this is important. Let me tell you why it's important. Because the Ash'aris remain Ash'aris. The Maturidis remain Maturidis. So we don't have that problem. Now let's talk about, so everyone understand this. The Ash'aris have been the Ash'aris since the time of Imam Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari in general. The general methodology is the same as it was then today. Nothing has changed, right? The Maturidis is the same. Now the Hanabila have went through many times where their doctrine was misrepresented over history. So now you need a history lesson for that. And we can talk about that at another time. Now what we have in our time, the Ash'aris and Maturidis are the same, no matter where you go, and anywhere in the world. They're the same. They got the same books, the same everything, Ash'ari books. And we're going to talk about that on the round table. The methodology, how the Ash'aris, what they learned, their scholars, it's all the same, no matter where you go, right? And how do I know that? Because I physically did it. I've been in all the major countries in the world, and I have teachers in all the major Islamic countries in the world. I have physical, living, breathing teachers. and I know what they living, breathing teach, right? The books, the scholars, the chains of narration, we have all of that. So it's the same stuff, right? All around the world, right? The Hanabila, they have it too, but happen due to political situations, they've been overwhelmed at different points of time. And their doctrine has been hijacked throughout history at different times. And their representatives of their school were not able to openly spread and clearly convey. It was always like a selected group of people who understood that. In our time, there's been a revival of it that wasn't existing well known before, because their name got mixed with Al-Wahhabiyya. Do y'all understand what I just said? So with the advent of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his movement, the Hanabila got hijacked in the process. So because the Wahhabis in fiqh are Hanbali. Do you understand? In fiqh, the Wahhabis are Hanbali. But in creed, they are Wahhabi. So the Hanbalis, the early Hanbalis, prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, had their methodology, which was different from the methodology of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers. Do y'all understand? And keep in mind, the Wahhabis are Hanbali in fiqh. So therefore, their Aqidah, though different from those other Hanabila, was spread in the name of Hanbali fiqh as well. So that when you think Hanbali, you think Wahhabi. You don't think the Hanabila prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab in our time. Do y'all understand that? Is that clear? This takes some learning, right? So now there are a group of true Hanabila, like the early Hanabila, who disagree with the Wahhabiyya, just like the Ash'aris and Maturidis do. But they are Hanbali, but they don't have access to spread their stuff. So they're having a resurgence, but they got a problem. And what is our problem? Their problem is that many of Wahhabis or former Wahhabis are now attributing themselves as true Hanbalis, but not leaving all of their Wahhabi ideas. So it's developing another problem. So when you say Hanabila or Athariya, it still is mixed with the Wahhabiyya, and therefore sometimes it's hard to determine who you're talking to. So you have to understand the methodology to be able to distinguish. Because there are a lot of Wahhabis who are now talking about I'm Hanbali, or I'm Athari, or I'm Ahlul Hadith, to cover the name Wahhabi. And because now Salafi has got a bad name, they switch it. They say, no, I'm Athari. I'm not even Salafi. I'm Athari. I'm Hanbali. No, you are Wahhabi. And you keep switching names. But now you're doing the same thing to the Hanabila. That's why the Hanabila need to talk. The real Hanbalis, let me say, the traditional Hanbalis in creed, need to manifest their creed and stop letting the Wahhabis hide under their name. Let them have their own stuff and let them explain their stuff. And you explain yourself, right? And then because of that nuance between the Ash'aris and the Hanabila, those Wahhabis use that to separate the Ash'aris and the true Hanabila, right? And therefore, it makes it more confusion. So it's like a chameleon. They just keep switching and switching and switching. So you never can keep up with them. But if you learn the methodology, you can keep up with them all the time. No matter what switch they do, you know the methodology. I see you. You can't hide. I see you, right? Obviously, you get from that we don't agree with the Wahhabi creed. I think you got that by now, right? I think that's obvious, right? Okay. But keep in mind, the Wahhabis, the real Wahhabis, meaning the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, the Saudi government, are Hanbalis. You have an element with this Salafi stuff that Islam Madhabi. That doesn't rep the Saudi government and the Saudi family and the Al-Sheikh, the family of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. They're Hanbalis. They're not Salafi like those Salafis that are not Saudis. That's a different element. So Al-Albani doesn't represent them. Even though they share creed, they don't share approaches. It gets more nuanced. So in our country, we ain't distinguishing all this. So these people that's following Al-Albani, Nasruddin Al-Albani, that in Aqidah, they resemble the Wahhabis in issues. But in fiqh, they don't resemble the Wahhabis. The Wahhabis follow madhabs. They don't accept that you don't follow a madhab. They don't accept. That's not, the Wahhabis don't accept that. The Saudi official position, they don't accept that. You need to follow a madhab. They're just like the Sunnis in that regard. In general, there is nuance, but in general, in fiqh, the Wahhabis are Hanbalis. Do y'all understand this? Okay. You don't worry about going against it right now, Habibi. Right now, just understand it. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. I think it's important. I mean, if we can get where it's just normal, where we can identify stuff, we can have real conversations, just understanding, then we can use our intellects to determine things. Critical thinking, examining facts, learning books. It's a lot of stages to this stuff. So we at the bottom level of it, right? Don't jump. This ain't microwave stuff. This is a long, long process. It's a process that we have to make generational. And we're at the driver's seat, right? So don't go so fast. Like really, really take your time. Okay. This could be, if we had a discussion and not a debate, this stuff would be even, if those people, I'm talking about us. First of all, let me say this. Certain conversations need to be with certain people. Let me say this. This conversation we're having, though it affects everybody in general, it affects us in particular. I'm talking about African Americans, Black people on the ground. Everyone is affected. I'm not saying they're not. But there is a level of being affected in our community that's detrimental much more than it is sometimes in other communities, because we already have other stuff we're working with. So when we add this, it becomes even more complicated. And give us that. Don't take that away, because that's not fair, right? So if you have a person who has that methodology and you were open for a real discussion, not a debate, not trying to prove who's more knowledgeable than the other, who's right, who's wrong. Let's just make sure we understand what's being said. Like, let's make that the first discussion. Whether you smarter than me or I'm smarter than you, whether you knowledgeable than me and I'm knowledgeable, it don't matter. Just make sure we all understand. Make sure we understand what we're talking about, right? Do y'all follow that point? Because if the ego's involved, we're going to skip understanding. We just want to be right. Drop your ego. So just assume that we don't understand. Can you please make us understand so that we can articulate what you're talking about? Right? And we're going to make you understand what we're talking about. Right? Do y'all follow that? There's a big difference. I'm not impressed. None of us know nothing anyway. So I don't know why you're impressed with yourself. None of us know nothing. So why are you so impressed with yourself? We all are not really knowledgeable, and we all know that. Who learned, who actually read and study, we know we're not knowledgeable. I'm going to repeat that. Anyone who actually reads and studies already knows we're not knowledgeable. So no need to try to impress each other. We're not knowledgeable at all. Do you follow my point? I'm serious. The amount of knowledge that we need to learn compared to what we know is very little. So that shouldn't be an issue that stops us from dialoguing. We already know we don't know, and we're learning, so we can have a discussion. And because we don't know, that makes the disagreements much more difficult. But because as we learn, some stuff is going to go away, right? Easily. It's just going to, it's like shedding stuff. It's easy. Listen, man, we don't, I didn't know that, right? Like this Hembali thing. I never heard these expressions of the Hanabila all my life in Islam. I've never heard these discussions. This stuff I'm just learning over the last maybe 3 years, 4 years. And I'm just paying attention to it maybe over the last year or so. You heard what I said? I'm just learning about it probably within the last 5 years, 6 years. I've heard it, but I never really paid it no attention. And I haven't really dug deep into the last year. And I discovered so much. I'm like, whoa, this is deep. And right now is all I do. Because in my own personal time, that's all I'm doing. I'm digging in this Hembali stuff, this Wahhabi stuff, all of this stuff. That's all I'm doing. On my private, when I'm finished teaching, I'm finished what I got to do with studying. For me personally, I'm in this Hembali stuff and Wahhabi stuff. That's my reading. That's my research. That's what I do all the time I got free. Far as me personally, because I believe we have to understand this stuff well. I know Ash'ari and Maturidi, I got that. Been doing it since I was a young kid, right? This Hembali Wahhabi stuff, one reason, the Wahhabi, I knew about it, but because I knew the Wahhabis, I didn't pay them any attention. right? But now I pay them close attention. And now the Hanbali stuff come up, I pay them close attention too. Because now you know, y'all is an attack on my people. They throwing their rubbish in the grass. I gotta distinguish it. Some of this stuff is toxic. I have to know what it is. It's important. We're gonna get sick, and we can't afford another 100 years of sickness, or even 50. We have to learn. And then we got this other group that we talked about, the group who want to just be ignorant. They more dangerous than the Wahhabis. That third group who just don't want to learn, they more dangerous than the Wahhabis. At least the Wahhabi, you're going to have some learning involved and it's going to be a discussion. This one who doesn't want to learn, they're just making the religion up as they go along. And that's dangerous. We definitely can't be there, right? That's worse. So we have to do the work. Okay. All right, I'm getting ready to close out if there's no other questions. My joy is that we as African American Muslim community don't implode before we learn with the infighting and backstabbing. Just love one another. So even when we disagree with love, right? Understand that the game is still running. Somebody put a game on us, so don't take it personal, right? So even that I disagree with a person, I understand how they got where they're at, so I'm not taking it personal. We're just working out how to fix it. But I understand. I'm not like, I don't dislike you. I'm not your enemy. You're a victim, just like we are victims. And together, we got to overcome this stuff. But we have to find the truth. And that's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight, right? And if we do that, we won't implode, actually, right? So, but don't let no one else dictate to us how to do it, because they usually they're angling us for their own good. Right? Can I tell you a story? Sometimes we want to avoid this stuff, but I feel it. You got to understand. There is a group, and I studied with that group for years, right? It took me years to identify that they don't have our best interests at heart. Man, it took a long time to discover that. Because they're Sunni, they're Ash'ari, they follow madhabs, they Sufi, they have the same way, but they don't have the interests of the black community at all. I didn't understand that. I didn't even see it. And you know when it became clear? When we started to educate our people, they attacked. And I'm like, what are you attacking? We're saying the same thing we learned from you. I realized, oh, there's another layer here going on. Has nothing to do with religion. But you'll use religion to control us and to subjugate us, to become our masters. Whoa, that's deep. Now, I have to deal with the fact that this ain't all religion. This is some politics jumping off here, some racism, some control. Oh, sweat, I never expected this. This is a whole nother layer. This has nothing, religion is being used, but it has nothing to do with religion at all. This is about control. And I had to deal with that with my own teachers. That hurts. Like, whoa. Then once I saw that, now I'm taking a deep look at this. I'm like, wait a minute. You're right, but you're using right for wrong. This is a whole nother level. You're right, but what you're doing is wrong. And that don't work for us. That's going to harm us. We can't listen to you. You don't have our best interests at heart. We can't trust you. You don't care about us. We better care about ourselves. That hurt. That hurt. Seriously, it hurt. And I'm going to go out on a limb. Our Salafi brothers who were Salafi, they discovered that about certain teachers in Saudi Arabia and about the Saudi Arabian government. They discovered that. And now they're trying to process that stuff. They discovered the same thing. Oh, this ain't just about the knowledge. This is about subjugation. This is a whole nother level. They going through it right now. That's why all them dudes talking about I'm not Salafi no more. If that's Salafi, because they discovered that. They discovered the same thing we discovered as Sunnis, that, oh, racism is real. Control and subjugation of us as a people is real. They discovered the same thing. And now that's a whole nother challenge, right? Now I got to look at this whole thing differently. I thought in Islam, we wouldn't be going through this. That's why we came to Islam. And now you're doing the same thing as Mr. Charlie did to us. Wow, that's deep. You follow what I mean? That's an indication. So since that's the case, when I'm talking to the brother who's went through the same thing I went through, we still discovering I got to have a level of sympathy. I'm like, yo, man, it happened to you too. Now let's come together and work this out to protect ourselves. Because we all know the game has been weighing on us. We do know that. So that's why I said we are free people. We're not slaves. And free people use their mind and they think. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Now, some people know exactly what I'm saying and they're going to trigger them, but it's true. I have a Salafi, I have two Salafi big teachers that I would like to have public discussions with. They're good people. They're leaders in the Salafi movement. African Americans, I believe they're good people. They discovered what we're talking about, but they're trying to work their way out of this stuff. I would love to have a conversation with them, like a public, heart conversation. And they know who they are, and I've contacted them, but nobody want to have a real talk. We still clinging on to stuff. But before y'all die, before I die, let's do a favor for our people and help them. Let's educate them. Even if they don't follow us, let's move them down the field a little better. Let's not make it about us winning. Let's clear the air for our people. How about that? Right? Because we don't want our children going through the same thing that we went through. And our great-grandchildren, So we should do our job and educate them. Even if it hurt. Even if at the end of the day I have to say I'm wrong, fine. Long as you learn, so you're not wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all follow me? Let's have that. I've reached out to them. They know who they are, but they don't want to have a conversation. Because the conversation, when we stop fronting, that's an old term, we start faking it, and we have real conversation, the mask's going to come off. When there's no ego involved and we're not trying to impress it, we're not trying to put each other down, we're just trying to discover facts and understanding, a lot of things going to come clear, and people don't want that. Sometimes we live in ignorance. That's what Malcolm X when he's talking about sleeping. We live sleep, sleepwalking. We love it. Don't wake me up. Nah, keep me asleep. Nah, we need to wake up. I'll give you in my city. Last night, and I'm going to close with this. Last night, this city, the Muslims are divided on culture that can have a perception of racism. So let's be fair. It's divided on culture and ethnicity that can be perceived, rightfully so, as racism. Do y'all follow that? I'm giving you my own city. Because sometimes I need to talk to our people locally because they don't want to have conversations either. Right? So this is the way to talk to you. Our city, if you look at all the masjids in Atlantic City, they're racially divided by ethnicity. So you have a Pakistani-ran masjid. You have 2 Bengali-ran masjids. You have another black masjid besides Masjid Muhammad ran by blacks. And you have Pakistani. You have 3 in the area. 3 Bengali-ran masjids. Ain't nothing happening there but Bengali stuff. 2 Pakistani-ran masjids. 1, ain't nothing happening there but Pakistani stuff. The other is politicians, so they have Arabs mixed so they can do the knowledge part, but the Pakistanis run all the administration. And then you have in the area, not in Atlantic City, but in the area, Atlantic County, 2 African-American led masjids. 1 ran by myself, and the other ran by women. Black African-American women who make the decision, not black men. This is facts. I know people don't like it, but it's facts. And because of these dynamics, we can't even sit at a table and talk. We can't even sit at a table and talk. The imams of all these masjids cannot sit at a table and have a conversation. Think about that. They cannot have a conversation. In a city, in an area that is not even 10 miles long and wide, can't have a conversation. You don't think that's a problem? And here's a bigger problem for us. It's going to hurt. As black people, we won't cooperate with ourselves, but we'll go to those other places and sit and be quiet. And it has no interest for us whatsoever. And we know it, and we will remain silent. We won't say a word. And we know it. Think about that. That's some conditioning. And what are you doing to your children when you like that? Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, you know what's happening, and you won't say a word. Think about that. What has happened to us as a people? You won't say a word, but you will fight black leadership. Think about that stuff. You have no say-so. Zero. And you won't say a word, but you will attack black leadership. What the heck is wrong with us? Think about it. Just use your mind. What's wrong with you? What has happened to us as a people? You won't say a word. You don't make no decisions. You have no leadership. You ain't allowed to do anything. And you won't say a word, but you'll challenge where your own people is. And you won't even come sit with them to have a discussion. We sick. Something's wrong with us. And we're going to pass that to our children till we become extinct. We sick. We have some healing to do. Serious healing. So all what I'm talking about is all connected. This is our challenge of today. In addition to the regular challenges we got just being in America as black people. We still got that challenge. That ain't changed. And guess what? People don't care. And we reached the point we don't care. People don't care, and we reached the point we don't care. What does that say for our future generations? And we all know it. It's not like something, Imam Muhammad is some smart guy who made it up. We know what's happening. We're watching it. We're living it. Every one of us know it. And every one of you can identify this same thing in your own locality, in your own city, in your own area. You watching it happen. Don't tell me, because I travel the world. We travel around. We travel around the country. And it's the same game being played everywhere. Think about this stuff, man. It's sad. We got work to do. And the key is education and understanding, right? We got work to do. And no one will deny this in a real conversation. You can't. It's obvious. You gotta be insane to deny this stuff. You're watching it, you live in it. But you've learned to make an excuse for your own oppression. You've been taught to accept second-class citizenship and to love it and to defend it, even if it's at your own expense. This is a problem. This is a problem. And I just happen to be in a place where, by Allah's decree, that stuff fall on my shoulders. It fall on, hurts. It pains me, honestly. But mashallah who can. Allah fa'alu lima yurid. He does whatever he wills. But we need to say something. We need to say something. Because ain't no one going to tell us. Ain't no one going to tell us. One of my elders, stuff make you want to cry when you think about it, seriously. And we don't understand all this stuff that we talking about play a role in what we're looking at right now. That's the result of the garbage being in our yard, the rubbish of the world falling on our heads. That's the result. And then to watch people rally behind everyone else's cause and forget us, it hurts even more. We can lose generations of understanding. And it takes time when you become irrelevant. And it's happening right in front of us. Mm. No, it's serious talk. But we don't even want to have the real talk sometimes. Man, don't tell me all that. Somebody better tell you. Somebody better tell you. So let me close with my last Malcolm. I said it about 20 times, right? It's hard to stop, man. I'm sharing my pain with you. It hurts. SubhanAllah, it hurts. I wish it wasn't this way. And I hope it changes. That our future children don't have to have the same conversation. But if we don't educate ourselves, they will have the same, because just like we having it now, they'll have it too if we don't educate ourselves. Let me give you 2 quotes from Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz. I gave one last night. I'm going to give you the other one. And this is a reality. It's a driving thing in me after I saw this. The greatest mistake of the movement has been trying to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. You have to wake the people up first, then you'll get action. 2 more times. The greatest mistake of the movement has been trying to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. You have to wake the people up first, then you'll get action. Last time, the greatest mistake of the movement has been trying to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. You have to wake the people up first, then you'll get action. The other statement of Malcolm X, he said, only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. He said, only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. Only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. But if you can't identify your enemy, you're bound to let your enemy teach your children. If you're asleep, you won't even identify your enemy. And you may be dreaming to the extent that you think your enemy is your friend. You may be so asleep and dream that your enemy is actually your friend. May Allah make it easy for us. Barakallahu bikum, inshallah. I hope something I said is beneficial. I hope we benefit. I hope we learned something. I hope we memorize and preserve what we talked about, because I'm going to go to another stage. We're going to do it on the round table on Tuesday. But for this week, let's just make sure we all get that. And I'll remind throughout the week, I'll remind us of it. Let me do this last advertising. We have the Islamic Unity Conference. I want to show you something, right? It's going to be in Atlantic City. July 11th to the 14th. Let me give you the hotel registration information. You just call the hotel. We have a special discounted rates. Reserve your spot. We're going to have some, this, you can imagine the dialogues that's going to happen at this event, right? We're going to really, really talk. And the theme of it is building our village. And over the next couple of days, I'm going to be talking about the lectures and what we're talking about and who's talking. And a lot of the dialogue, the conversation, is going to be moderated by our sisters. Among them, Sheikha Aisha Prime, the Dope Muslim Woman, Sister Sabria Mills, Ustada Nuruddin Knight. They're going to be the main facilitators of the dialogue. We're starting Thursday. The first program starts at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. is the first session, which will be in 2 halls. So there'll be 2 sessions going on simultaneously. Every time we have a session, except on Thursday night, we're going to have one big group session, but the other sessions are going to be 2 sessions going on simultaneously. It's going to be something not to miss, seriously. You don't want to miss this session. If you care about our people, you care about our community, and you are able, don't miss it. Don't miss it. Because this ain't the kind of conference that's just lectures. This is real dialogue. There ain't somebody gonna sit around and lecture you for 1 hour. La. We really talking. We're really engaging. So really, this conference is a big think tank. Networking, problem solving, overcoming obstacles, making alliances. All of that is what this is all about. Finding like-minded people from all around the country that we could build with, that we could do every aspect that we need to build our village. That's what this conference is about. It's going to be one for the history books, for sure, inshallah ta'ala. So the information is there. I'll put the link for registration again. Let me do it one more time, just so you're able to. And it's running across the screen, and I'll leave it there for a few minutes. There's the link for registration. I'll put it 3 sooner, right? Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And most of you, who would be great about this, we meet each other face to face. Because a lot of times when it's on the internet, you think somebody faking. But when you meet us face to face, when you're on the ground and you see what we're doing, you'll appreciate it a little different. It feels different when it's face to face, when it's real. Right? Anyone can be on the internet acting like they're something they're not. But when you see us face to face, when the imams and all of us, and you see us together and communicating and dialoguing and mixing it up, it's different, right? This ain't fake. It's real, right? It's totally different when you actually in the presence of somebody and you really face to face, mouth to ear, heart to heart, face to face, mouth to ear, heart to heart, face to face, mouth to ear, heart to heart. It hit different. And ultimately, soul to soul is different. It's not the same. This computer screen is a barrier. When we on the ground, you're going to see who's who. As Sabria Meal said to me so eloquently, she said, Imam, I mix it up with you, but I'm never going to get out the ring with you. We may mix it up, but I'm going to stay in the ring with you. That's beautiful. We may not always agree, but I'm going to stay in the ring with you. I'm in it. I'm 10 toes down. SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. That's how we need to be. You can talk a good game. Can you live it? I hear you. Can you live it? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. You can talk a good game. Now let me see you live it. Let me see when it really hurts, when you really got to sacrifice, when you really got to put others before yourself. Let me see what you made of. A lot of us just be talking. When we really got to put in the work, we run. When you really got to sacrifice, when you really got to feel it, when you really got to be on behalf of the people, and you suffer as a result, let me see where you really at. But that's what it takes to build that village we're talking about. You got to feel it. May Allah give us tawfiq. May Allah give us success. May Allah make us a people who rise above all the obstacles and challenges that are before us. That we collectively be a source of happiness to the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and a benefit to this ummah. May Allah grant us that. May Allah grant us that. Bisir Asrar al-Fatiha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.